So today we're gonna talk about insurance models, including expenses. So let's first talk about the gross premium. Gross premium. And in that segment, I'm gonna discuss. There are four types of expenses in general. Four types of expenses. Types of expenses. First, we have initial or acquisition expense. So initial or acquisition expense. Acquisition expense. The other one, we have maintenance expense, maintenance or renewal expense. We have settlement expense or termination, also called termination expenses. And we have other miscellaneous type of expenses. Other miscellaneous miscellaneous expenses. Okay, so initial expense incurred when the policy is issued. So cost of underwriting. So this one, so initial expense, cost of underwriting, commission. It includes commission, medical checkup, fees, and sometimes it can be fixed costs, or sometimes also it depends on the amount of insurance. And maintenance expense. So the two is when it's like continuing administrative costs or expenses or commissions. So continuing administrative administrative expenses and commission. Expenses and commission. And three, settlement expenses or termination expenses. Just the cost of termination, paperwork, and to find cost to and disburse and paid death benefit, and the benefit in general, also benefit. Yeah. So and other miscellaneous. So the four will represent lawyer fees, legal service, taxes, and so on and so forth. So, for example, let's consider let's we have also need to compute actual present value of those expenses. So for those expenses, so we have four types of expenses, and for those and for those we have to compute actual present value. So the actual present value of the settlement expenses, it is computed. So it APV of settlement expenses. It is and it looks like a term insurance or endowment. So in terms of term or endowment insurance, and actual present value of initial and the renewal expenses, they are in the form of life annuity. So for example, let's say that we have a 10-year level annual premium premium policy, yeah, with a premium G, with premium G, and E will be the I think per policy, small e per policy expense, and C will be the percentage of premium. So we come up with that following table. So we have this table where we can see that year one year, we have the year per policy, and the percentage of premium. So first year is here. We have the second renewal years. So the renewal years. So per policy at time zero, we have E0 as cost, and the percentage of premium of that time will be C0. And renewal years, we have E1 in the policy case per policy, and we have C1 in here. So if you want to represent it graphically, it's going to look like this. So you have the timeline. So this is the time, yeah. And at time 0, 1, 2, that, time n minus 1, time n. So we have E0 here plus C0 time G. So here we're trying to figure out the renewal, the actual present value of the renewal expense. So at time 0 we have only E0 plus, so it's like the initial payment that you make at time 0. So it's going to be paid at time 0, and the following the consecutive year you're going to pay E1 plus C1 percentage of the premium G, and pay the same amount every year until n minus 1. You don't pay it at n, but you stop at n minus 1 because it appears as an annuity. You pay at the beginning of the year, and so E1 again, CG, that until you get to E1 plus C1 G, like that, and you stop here. So you need to evaluate all of those cash cash payment back at time 0 here. So what you're gonna do, so you can represent it as, so APV of renewal expense, of all renewal expense. So all of E1, all of that are renewal expenses. So actual present value of renewal expenses will be, take E1 plus C1 G and discount it as if it was like an annuity of an individual age X until a time n minus 1, like that. Okay, so now I'm going to convert it into an annuity due. So next, so let me write it down again. So actual present value renewal is going to be E1 plus C1 G A X n minus 1, and that amount converted into an annuity due. Okay, so the entire figure, if I go back to the entire figure, I'm gonna have something like that. So it's gonna be E1 plus C1 G A X I said u, right? So u n minus 1, no, n, because yeah, aju x n n angle n, the whole thing minus 1 right now. So for the actual present value of initial and APV of initial and renewal expenses is going to be E0 plus C0 and the whole thing. So you have E1 plus C1G AX minus 1, and this is the same as what is here, so it's going to be E0 plus C0G plus the actual present value of renewals, so E1 plus C1G AGX n minus 1. And if I multiply that expression, what is here, I'm going to get something like that. I'm going to get at the end, same expression, E0 minus E1. You can express that as E0 minus E1 minus, so you do so you subtract all the per policy expenses, year 1 minus year 2, no, year 1 minus year the following years, plus the percentage of premium year the first year minus the second year, and you multiply that by the premium, and plus last expression, so C1 E1 plus C1 G A G X equal N. Okay, so that's what you get for the actual present value of initial and renewal expense. So that's the formula if you're asked to find that, only given that you have for a n-year term insurance, you already n-year, so it's the n-year level annual premium policy with premium G and E0 E1 as per policy and C0 C1 as percentage of premium. So this is the formula. When you have that, all you have to do just plug it into. Okay, so expense. So let's now talk about expense augmented model. So expense augmented model. Expense augmented model. They love those complicated words. So we're gonna introduce that random variable 0 L G. So it is the gross future loss random variable at issue that incorporates expense payment, expense payment. So let's just say GFL, so gross future loss, GFL, random variable. So it is also the present value of benefit, plus present value of expenses minus present value of gross premium income. So everything that you spend minus everything that you earn. So that's what that gross future loss remaining variable. So this is everything that you spend. You might spend a benefit. You're gonna spend a lot of money on the expense. Minus present value of premium income. So that's what the people are paying to you. So that's what that random variable represents. So under the equivalence principle, equivalence principle. Mhm. So the expected value, that means taking an expected value of the expense. It is called expense, the gross premium. So the expected value of that will be equal to 0. And the gross premium, the expected present value of the premium, it is called the expense. So the gross premium, expected value of the premium, also called expense loaded premium. So that means that we can compute the premium and we take into consideration the the uh, the expenses. So expected value of the premium, also called of gross premium, also called expense loaded premium. So we find that in under the equivalence principle, and we assume that the GFL is equal to 0. The expected value of the GFL is equal to 0. In other words, we have that actual present value of the benefit plus everything that we spend, actual present value of expenses should be equal to all the money that we get, actual present value of course premium, of course premium. So let's now talk about, so that was for the premium. Now let's talk about the reserve. So gross premium reserve. Gross premium reserve. So annual term policy, which is still in force 2 years after issue. So let's consider that. Let's consider a N-year term insurance. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that policy. Mm-hmm. Which is still in force 2 years after issue. 2 years after issue. Mm-hmm. And let's define the present value of the cost future loss random variable by TL. So the G, so the gross future loss, so GFL random variable at time t. So it's going to be equal to, so that random variable that we just defined for annual term insurance going to be TL equal to present value at time t of benefit, like we said, and expense plus present value at time t of expenses minus the present value of the premium, of the gross premium. So this is what it's going to look like on the graph. So we have the death benefit, death benefit. I don't think it's going to be here, but let me go back. We have that timeline like that. So time, I have 0 here, t minus 1. I have t here, t plus 1, da da da, n minus 1. I have n here. So death benefit here. This is settlement expenses. We have renewal for initial expense. We have the gross premium here. So BT minus 1 benefit. So for the benefit I paid um, at the end of the year of death, and usually so for the benefit at time t, it's like we have to look at t plus 1 here, t plus 1, that'd be n minus 1, and goes into the last one. Yeah. So for a settlement expense, I think it's the same thing. You expect the person to die. So it is valued, it starts to be valued at time t plus 1. En minus 1 here, and en. And renewal expenses. So renewal expenses, it is paid as it is related to the premium. So you have to value it at the beginning of the year. So it's going to be here. It's going to be valued at time t. So we have R plus 1, Rn minus 1, and you don't pay for the last year. The last one you don't add 1, and GT minus 1. Here you pay at the, so it's going to be valued at time t, gt plus 1 until gt n minus 1, since it is like an annuity. So you have something like that. Okay, so all the cash flow. So you have to, if you want to, so this is all the cash flows after time that are considered for the loss at time t. So the present value at time t of expenses, we're gonna consider it. It includes the renewal at time t. Okay, let me write it down. So I'm saying that the present value at time t of expenses includes the renewal expense at time t, and the reason is because the renewal expenses are associated with the premium, so it is due at time t with the premium, so it is due at time t, so it is due at time t. Now the settlement expenses at time t is not included. You don't use that to compute. Included in the calculation. Of TLG or G gross future loss, GFL gross future loss, because TLG is defined on the condition the time to death Tx should be greater than the time t. So the gross premium reserve or the expense, so the gross premium reserve or the expense or the gross premium reserve or the expense augmented reserve, augmented reserve at time t is the conditional mean. And you have, so it is denoted by T, gross premium reserve. The gross premium reserve or the expense augmented reserve at time T, it is the expected value of the GFL, gross future loss at time T, given that Tx is greater than T. So where the expectation is calculated under a specific basis. Yeah. So that gross premium reserve, so that gross premium reserve written denoted by T V G gross premium reserve is actual present value of the future benefits and expenses minus the actual present value of future gross premiums. And in a discrete case, benefit reserve satisfies a certain recursion relationship. So discrete case. So the reserve at time h, for example, plus a premium at time h, you accumulate it. If you make it grow by an interest rate I 1 year from now, it will be the same as paying a benefit, dying. Individual age X die H plus 1 years from now, and when he dies at time H plus 1, he receives a benefit, or he will survive, and we have to have a reserve at H plus 1. So it survived until it survived 8 years from now, and when he is at H plus 1, we should always have that reserve H plus 1. So we have these two situations: either he dies and we pay a benefit, or he survives and we have the reserve. So so that's for like a discrete case of a reserve, regular reserve. So what about our case with the gross reserve? So it's going to be pretty much the same thing. So you have your reserve G, you pay the premium, but in this case, since we have to consider the expense associated with that, we do 1 minus the percentage minus the policy expense. 8, you make it grow at 1 year from now, 1 to 5, and that is going to be the same as, it's equal to, but if you make it grow at a certain interest rate, it's going to be same as you die and you receive either a payment, a death benefit, or you're gonna receive a settlement expense. You're gonna expense or settlement expense. So you have the settlement expense on the condition that you die or you survive, and you receive that another that premium, that reserve, and you have that reserve. So that's pretty much that for the how do we call that again? The gross premium reserve. We can summarize that part. So you have H, gross premium reserve, survive. You survive, H plus 1, G, or you die with over, you survive with over 3x plus H, and you have that, or you die with over 2s plus H, and and at that time you have a benefit, and you have a settlement expense, or you have what. So in that case also there is something called the interest income, and for that interest income is equal to the premium plus a reserve multiplied by interest. So in that case your interest income will be, if you're asked to find interest income, we do 1 minus, so the premium 1 minus the percentage minus the settlement, no, not the settlement expense, but the policy expense at time H, to multiply by the interest, and for the premium income, so of the net of initial expense, net of initial and renewal expense, you have GH 1 minus CH minus E down. So that's like a summary of the gross premium reserve. So what if we have a continuous case? So in the continuous case, I think there's something called the Thiel. I don't even know how to pronounce his name, but I think it is Thiel differential equation. Differential equation for gross premium. Gross premium. Yeah. So you have that differential equation, and so it's going to be, so you have a fully continuous premium. So fully continuous premium, so the condition is a fully continuous premium, and per policy expense, are payable, per policy expenses are payable continuously, so the policy, so those small, so fully continuous, so G continuously, so you have that into account 3, and you have death benefit, and so the death benefit, so death benefit, and settlement expenses are usually paid as usual. Settlement expenses are paid at the moment of death, are payable at the moment of death, at the moment of death. So what do you get? So same thing as the other part. So D with respect to T of the gross premium reserve will be the same as D of T. So the premium 1 minus the percentage minus the policy expense, right? And you add cost of interest plus the probability rate of death times t, and you add that reserve, and you subtract the death benefit plus. So either you earn the death benefit or you get a settlement expenses. The F plus T. So this is like a premium. This is like a reserve, and this is like a debt. So, so it's kind of like that, and yeah. So this is like for the Tails differential equation, and I think there is a trick to solve that equation. So I think yeah. So let's talk about solving that equation. So the trick to solve that differential equation is to discretize the information. So basically you have d over dt e to the t g1 minus ct minus e to the t. And now you add another premium. Now you add another reserve at a certain interest rate and the probability of death. And you remove uh, settlement expenses and as I said, settlement expenses is death benefit at a certain probability of dying. And now you have, so you can, as we did in calculus, you have t plus h d to the j minus t d to the j over h is pretty much similar to 1 minus c to the t minus e to the t plus plus mu s plus t t v g minus t plus e to the t mu s plus t. So all you have to do, so ts plus h e to the j minus t e to the j will be almost similar to gt 1 minus ct, right, minus e to the t minus interest plus mortality time reserve minus death benefit settlement expenses time death time death mortality time h. H is like a small time. Okay, so um so h, so for small h, for small h. So that's how we solve for yeah, we have to discretize information in order to be able to solve what we are basically looking for, right? So let's talk about expected profit and actual profit. Okay, so the expected profit that emerge at time on the so the expected profit, expected profit and actual profit. So so P R H plus 1. That's the name of the profit. So it is the profit, no, the expected profit. So expected profit uh, in the H plus 1F policy year. So that's what PR, expected profit in the H plus 1F year. And I think so. I will be interest rate, interest rate. CH will be the percentage of premium, percentage of premium. EH will be per policy expense, per policy expense. Q X plus H, death rate. EH, settlement expense, expense. If there is a hat in them, if there is a hat like I hat, C hat, E hat, Q hat, E hat, all those are actual, the actual values. Without the hat, it's assumed value, assumed. So, but these ones are actual. So, what happened in reality? So, and so PRH plus 1 hat will be the actual expected profit. Expected profit in H plus 1 policy year. One see how much money we make. So so if we're looking for the profit, so we're gonna do that. So profit, expected value of your profit time NF net H plus 1F year. So here is gonna be N, and I think that's the number of policy. H if I yes. So you do that. So it's going to be H so the gross. So you have N multiply N by the reserve, the gross premium reserve, times the premium 1 minus the percentage of premium minus the per policy expense, right? And you multiply all of that by a percentage, by a interest rate. You make it grow 1 year from now, minus the same N, my friend N, EH plus 1 plus EH plus 1 times the probability of dying, or certain probability of surviving. And when you survive, you're gonna have a new reserve. So that's kind of a recurring relationship for that, for the profit at time one. So for the actual profit, same recursion relationship. You have N N reserve plus GH 1 plus GH, yeah, minus GH, like that. You make it grow at the interest rate. You notice that there is a hat on everything except on the reserve. Make it grow minus M times the benefit at time H plus 1 plus the settlement expenses for time H plus 1 certain probability of dying plus probability of surviving h plus 1 into the j down. Yeah, so that's pretty much so that's a way of doing it. So I think if you're looking for the gain, so the so that's pretty much it for this chapter. I'm doing it for myself, trying to learn, trying to go to the train, review my notes.